The U.S. job report has revealed that unemployment has reached post-pandemic highs. Millennials and Gen Z are looking for alternative ways for wealth building, and gambling is more accessible than ever. My name is D. Hall. I'm an accredited financial counselor, and today I'm talking about financial nihilism in the futures markets. So take it back a couple days ago. I was looking at the Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua fight on Netflix. Anthony Joshua drops Jake Paul in the sixth round of the fight. I believe it was the sixth round. Cracks his jaw in two places. Guy's out on the floor. They call the fight. Now, Anthony Joshua, they're announcing him as the winner. On his neck is a chain. Iced out Cuban link. A lot of attention was brought to the chain for me because Jake Paul's brother tried to snatch the chain after realizing, like, hey, his brother took a big L. Now, on that chain, I was looking at the charm on it. Nothing too, it didn't look like a traditional chain. Like, it didn't say AJ, Anthony Joshua. It wasn't a Jesus piece. It's just kind of this, just very obtuse looking thing. So I'm looking at it and it says Polymarket on the chain. So I never heard of it. I was like, maybe this is a company he's starting. I don't know. A couple days later, I see a news headline that say Polymarket gifted Anthony Joshua a $500,000 chain. So I look up Polymarket and I realize that it is a prediction market type of app platform. And real simple, it's just more gambling. So predictions markets, the way they work, let's say you take something like, will they release the Epstein files? Yes or no? And you can put money on if it will be yes or if it will be no. You get it right, you make money. You get it wrong, you lose money. As a personal financial professional and someone who friends and family just generally run money concerns by, I'm surprised to hear how so many people are taking basically gambling serious enough to the point to where they consider it part of their investment portfolio. And that, I think, is representative of a much larger issue. So I'm not going to sit here and have the conversation about traditional investing is very different from gambling. I think that that's very obvious. Or if not, there's a bunch of content online that you can find to support your understanding of the differences in the two. However, what is more interesting to me is this level of financial nihilism, especially when I talk to younger people about retirement investing. And the common sentiment is, why would I invest in a future that I'm not even sure of? The amount of young people that I've heard tell me, like, why would I invest and I don't even think I'm going to live that long? So this level of lack of hope for the future is becoming a much larger sentiment that I'm really experiencing with younger people. But tell you the truth, not even younger, some older people as well. So I'm really interested in, them viewing gambling not just as entertainment, because that's all it is at best, but viewing it as part of their financial come up, something to improve their financial situation. The amount of energy that they give to discussing their parlays compared to, ETFs, average annual returns compounding in their IRA or 401k or even regular brokerage account. I'm not even trying to place a judgment on it or anything, but I am speaking on this thing that just keeps reoccurring of people just really leaning into the now. YOLO with their finances. You only live once, might not even make it. The retirement accounts, the earliest distribution age, when you can start taking money out of the account when it's most beneficial is 59 and a half. Let's just go ahead and say 60. I don't want to say and a half every time. So like 60. And people are like, yeah, no, I'm not going to wait till I'm in old age to really enjoy my life, which that is too much binary thinking. That's another conversation for another time. Just because you're putting some money away for long-term investing doesn't mean you have to sacrifice having a good time now. But anyway, that's the thinking. And there's a lot more energy being put towards these quick returns, high risk quick returns that typically result in longer losses over time. So where could this be coming from? I think one of the more obvious things is the traditional model doesn't seem to be working like it used to. Or maybe it does work, but it's a lot harder to attain. So traditional model. You finish high school, you go to college, you complete college, you get your degree. Now you probably borrowed a lot of money to get that degree. So now you're dealing with some serious debt. Then the idea is you get a better paying job, you get that job, and then you save up for an emergency fund, 3 to 6 months minimum. And then buy a house? Okay. Typical mortgage, you get to a point, probably not just typical mortgage, 20% down payment on the home. Real quick math, if the home is worth $350,000, 20% of that is going to be $70,000. Then there are hidden fees and other things associated with the cost of purchasing a home. But we'll just keep it simple. Just leave it right there. Then after that, you stay with the job or the company for maybe the lifetime of the mortgage. So maybe a 30-year mortgage, maybe you're with the company for 30 years with the idea of going up the corporate ladder, increasing your income, and then taking the disposable income every month and just dollar cost averaging into a 401k or and an IRA account. And you do that up until the age of 60. And then let's say you have $1 million minimum in that account, 60 years old. And the idea is that you live off 4% of that every year and call that your salary. So 4% of $1 million would be roughly $40,000. And people are debating the 4% thing now. I'm just giving you like the old traditional model. But I'm bringing up the U.S. job report earlier to say that, for early college graduates, getting an entry-level job, a decent paying entry-level job, it's going to be tough. You're in a lot of debt already to attain the degree. And then the housing market, prices keep jumping on those things. So it just really looks like this tough uphill battle. The housing market, like the income to mortgage ratio since the 90s, I believe, has doubled. So the amount of money you're bringing in, housing is skyrocketing way more in value compared to the wages that people are being paid. So older people, if you played the game, did the traditional path, you're older, you're probably cruising right now. S&P 500 index fund, averaging, 10%, doing that for, 30 years, probably in an okay situation. House is paid off. It's for the younger people. And I'm talking like millennials, Gen Z. That's where, it gets tougher. So, that is the narrative that's being put out too. And not just the narrative, the data's there too. And so now you have to seek creative ways to build wealth. And that could be a numerous amount of things that you could do. But I'm just speaking to this idea of why the appeal, or kind of empathizing with the appeal of these gambling platforms for those that's trying to improve their economic situation. And though that is not, the way to go about it, I can say that I do see the appeal. And then, now we're talking like traditional model. I mentioned the S&P 500, get good returns from that. But compared to alternative assets like Bitcoin, you look at the 10-year average return of the S&P 500, 10-year average return of Bitcoin, and what people are expecting it to do in the future. I mean, you do see the appeal. Risky stuff, but people are feeling like that they're in more desperate situations. So when you're feeling more desperate, you're more inclined to take risks because you might feel, and I'm saying feel intentionally, this is very emotional type of stuff, but you might feel like the opportunities are really slim for you. So you're more inclined to just take these bigger risks to at least have a chance. I kind of see, why Squid Games is so popular. I think this is a much larger global economic thing. In Squid Games, I think it was towards the last season, second season, people had the option to leave the game, but they were like, why leave the game to go to what life? It's better to die in the game because at least you have a chance of winning it. The dude beat the game, came back and was like, hey, this doesn't end well for anybody. And the Squid Game thing gave them a chance to go home. And they was like, no, we'll vote on this. So that level of desperation to take that level of risk, I think we're starting to see that, and it's like manifesting in the seriousness of gambling. Like there are ways to build wealth, but taking these entertainment things and making them more serious, and some could say that's also like the gamification of finance, also the issues of the financialization of everything. How far can you go? Will such and such blow up such and strike such and such country? Yes or no? Like it could get, like, what are the limits of it? I don't know, but yeah, it get pretty weird out here. So, global powers are shifting, and it'd be reasonable to ask, are the traditional systems of building wealth still relevant? Will they stand the test of time? Or are they just becoming outdated and it truly is time to lead into something a bit more radically different? I guess we are all about to see, but I would suggest moving with some financial discipline. The situation might feel desperate, but you could put yourself in a situation where you're at more of a loss just because you are feeling desperate versus trying to, find alternative ways to just build it slow and steady. A lot more conversation around blue collar jobs, the increase of that, how you can leverage the disposable income from that into the markets. It goes on and on. The creator economy, there's some interesting data coming out around that. So, we will see. But I am interested in hearing y'all's thoughts. So go ahead, please drop a comment and let me know what your thoughts are on traditional systems, or maybe what you're implementing for new systems in developing wealth for yourself.